Donald Trump, 2017 to 2021/2025 present. Donald Trump's presidency is marked by deep national division, widespread misinformation, and an assault on democratic norms that shook the foundation of American governance. Under his leadership, trust in institutions collapsed, political violence escalated, and America's global reputation suffered severe damage. Trump rose to power by positioning himself as an outsider, but once in office, his leadership style relied heavily on confrontation, fear, and loyalty tests. His administration was defined by constant chaos, cabinet firings, public insults, and governance through social media rather than policy discipline. One of the most damaging aspects of Trump's rule was his handling of truth. Repeated false claims about elections, immigration, and public health eroded confidence in facts themselves. This reached a breaking point after the 2020 election, when Trump refused to accept defeat and promoted claims of massive fraud without evidence. That campaign of denial directly fueled the January 6 Capitol attack, when supporters stormed Congress in an attempt to stop the peaceful transfer of power. It was one of the darkest days in modern U.S. history, exposing how fragile democracy can become under reckless leadership. Trump's immigration policies caused international outrage. Family separation at the southern border led to children being detained away from their parents, some permanently. Images from detention centers became symbols of cruelty and neglect. On the global stage, Trump weakened long-standing alliances. He openly antagonized NATO partners, withdrew from international agreements, and praised authoritarian leaders while insulting democratic allies. America became unpredictable and isolated. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Trump downplayed the virus, contradicted scientists, and politicized basic health measures. The result was confusion, mistrust, and a death toll that many experts believe could have been reduced with clearer leadership. In his current return to power, the same patterns remain: revenge politics, threats against opponents, and renewed pressure on democratic institutions. Trump's legacy is not just controversial. It is destabilizing, leaving behind a nation more divided and suspicious than before. Joe Biden, 2021 to 2025. Joe Biden presided over a nation exhausted by crisis, yet his administration has been criticized for weakness, indecision, and failures that deepen public frustration. Under his watch, economic pressure, global instability, and public distrust continued to grow. Biden entered office promising unity and stability. Instead, many Americans experienced rising inflation, high living costs, and uncertainty about the country's direction. While economic indicators improved on paper, everyday life became harder for millions. The withdrawal from Afghanistan became a defining failure. The rushed exit led to chaos, deaths, and the collapse of the Afghan government. Desperate scenes at Kabul's airport shocked the world and damaged U.S. credibility. Biden's border policies also drew heavy criticism. A surge in undocumented crossings overwhelmed border communities, while the administration appeared unable to control or clearly explain its strategy. On the global stage, Biden supported major foreign conflicts with massive funding, raising concerns about endless proxy wars while domestic needs remained unmet. Many Americans questioned why resources flowed overseas while infrastructure and healthcare struggled at home. Biden's age and health became constant concerns. Public appearances often raised doubts about his ability to lead decisively, feeding anxiety about who was truly in control of government decisions. While positioned as a calm alternative to chaos, Biden's presidency has been marked by slow reactions, mixed messaging, and a growing sense that leadership was absent when clarity was needed most. Barack Obama, 2009 to 2017. Barack Obama's presidency expanded executive power, deepened surveillance, and normalized remote warfare that killed thousands beyond U.S. borders. Behind the hopeful rhetoric, devastating policies reshaped global conflict and domestic trust. Obama entered office during economic collapse. While his bailout program stabilized banks, many ordinary Americans felt abandoned as Wall Street recovered faster than Main Street. His administration dramatically expanded drone warfare. Strikes across Pakistan, Yemen, and Somalia killed militants, but also civilians. These remote killings occurred with little transparency, setting dangerous precedents. Domestically, Obama failed to prosecute major figures responsible for the financial crisis. This decision reinforced the belief that elites operate above the law. The Affordable Care Act expanded coverage but also caused rising premiums and confusion. Many families lost plans they were promised they could keep. Under Obama, mass surveillance expanded. Revelations by Edward Snowden showed how deeply Americans' privacy had been compromised by their own government. Though admired globally, Obama's legacy includes wars without declarations, secrecy, and missed chances to hold power accountable. George W. Bush, 2001 to 2009. George W. Bush led the United States into wars based on false intelligence, costing millions of lives and destabilizing entire regions. His presidency reshaped global politics through fear, torture, and unchecked executive power. After September 11, Bush launched the War on Terror. The invasion of Iraq was justified by weapons of mass destruction that never existed. The result was chaos, insurgency, and civilian slaughter. Guantanamo Bay became a symbol of abuse. Prisoners were held without trial, subjected to torture euphemistically called enhanced interrogation. Hurricane Katrina exposed deep government incompetence. Thousands were left stranded while leadership failed to respond. Bush's economic policies also contributed to the 2008 financial collapse, triggering a global recession. His presidency normalized perpetual war and fear-based governance. Richard Nixon, 1969 to 1974. Richard Nixon abused presidential power, spied on opponents, and orchestrated a cover-up that shattered public trust. His administration proved how dangerous unchecked authority can become. The Watergate scandal revealed a criminal conspiracy inside the White House. Nixon's efforts to silence investigators led to his resignation. Beyond Watergate, Nixon secretly expanded the Vietnam War into Cambodia, causing massive civilian casualties without public knowledge. His presidency permanently altered how Americans view government honesty. Andrew Jackson, 1829 to 1837. Andrew Jackson oversaw ethnic cleansing that led to the deaths of thousands of Native Americans. His presidency stands as one of the most brutal uses of power in U.S. history. The Indian Removal Act forced entire nations from their land. The Trail of Tears killed men, women, and children through starvation and disease. Jackson ignored Supreme Court rulings and ruled through raw force, prioritizing expansion over human life. His legacy is one of conquest, cruelty, and racial violence. Ronald Reagan, 1981 to 1989. Ronald Reagan's presidency accelerated economic inequality, fueled foreign wars through proxy violence, and ignored a public health crisis that cost tens of thousands of lives. Behind the image of optimism and patriotism was an era marked by neglect, covert crimes, and policies that reshaped American suffering for generations. Reagan came to power during economic anxiety, promising to restore American greatness through smaller government and free market capitalism. What followed was Reaganomics, a sweeping experiment in tax cuts for the wealthy and corporations. While Wall Street flourished, working-class wages stagnated, unions weakened, and the gap between rich and poor widened dramatically. His administration slashed social welfare programs, cutting support for mental health services, housing assistance, and education. These decisions contributed directly to rising homelessness across American cities in the 1980s, a crisis that Reagan publicly minimized. One of the darkest failures of Reagan's presidency was his response to the AIDS epidemic. As the disease spread rapidly through the 1980s, killing tens of thousands, the administration remained silent. Reagan did not publicly address AIDS until years into the crisis, long after it had devastated communities. Many viewed this neglect as rooted in prejudice, as the disease primarily affected gay men, drug users, and marginalized groups. In foreign policy, Reagan escalated Cold War tensions. His administration backed violent regimes and rebel groups across Latin America, including death squads and dictatorships responsible for mass killings, disappearances, and torture. In Nicaragua, El Salvador, and Guatemala, U.S.-funded forces committed atrocities while claiming to fight communism. The Iran-Contra scandal exposed the administration's willingness to break the law. Senior officials secretly sold weapons to Iran and used the proceeds to fund Contra rebels, directly defying Congress. Reagan denied knowledge, but the scandal revealed a culture of deception and illegal operations at the highest levels of government. Reagan also dramatically increased military spending, fueling the arms race and normalizing massive defense budgets that persist today. While he later negotiated with the Soviet Union, much of the decade was defined by fear of nuclear war. Though remembered by many as a charismatic leader, Reagan's policies reshaped America in ways that left deep scars: economic inequality, weakened social safety nets, unchecked corporate power, and a legacy of ignored suffering. His presidency is a reminder that smiling optimism can coexist with profound harm, and that the true cost of leadership is measured not in slogans, but in lives affected and futures altered. These men and many more shaped the history to America. Some were favorable to the citizens and others weren't. If you enjoyed this video, like, share and subscribe for more dark history videos. See you in our next video. Thank you.